Europe will be watching election returns out of France this weekend. Sunday's first round of local elections featuring a record 596 villages, towns, and cities where the far-right National Front will be on the ballot. This as the country's socialist president battles rock-bottom approval ratings and the main conservative UMP party is tainted by scandal and infighting. The anti-immigrant leader Marine Le Pen riding high after a record performance in the 2012 presidential election, toning down the provocative rhetoric of her father, even insisting that her party is no longer far right. Have her ideas really gone mainstream, or are the mainstream parties losing their appeal? As we're about to see, the National Front has changed, but perhaps not the way one might think. France 24 went to rural eastern France, far from the ghettos of working-class suburbs. Why has the far right made the biggest inroads in areas, well, devoid of immigrants, while it's lost ground, it seems, in urban areas? We'll react to that report and measure the true impact of the National Front and identity politics for France and for European elections, which are, let's not forget, 2 months from now. Today, in the France 24 debate, the French far-right's inroads. With us to talk about it, Gil MIHAELY, who, when he's not a columnist for Yediot Aharonot, is the editor-in-chief of Causeur magazine. Thank you for being with us. We want to thank as well French pollster and blogger Raphael LECLERC, who is with us, sociologist Nacira, who teaches at the University of Paris in Saint-Denis, and France 24's Cyril VANIER. Hello, sir.
Hey, François.
The France 24 debate, where you can join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter, our hashtag F24debate. Cyril VANIER, part of the team that went to eastern France, to the Lorraine region, near the World War I battlefields, where he filmed this story for reporters, the France 24 investigative news magazine.
The French countryside is fertile territory for the far right. Jean-Baptiste Gravier is trying to win hearts, minds, and votes for the Front National, or National Front Party.
We have to make our presence felt, show we're on the ground, especially in the rural areas. During elections, most candidates don't go to the countryside.
With local elections just around the corner, the party's message is taking root. In the eastern department of Meuse, FN leader Marine Le Pen came second in the last presidential poll. Residents are gradually turning to the far right. 1 in 3 letterboxes here belongs to a party supporter.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Jean-Baptiste Gravier. Are you interested in Marine Le Pen's ideas?
Yeah, we're 100% National Front around here. 100% for Marine Le Pen. No Arabs. Death to the Arabs. Arabs go back to your country.
France belongs to the French.
I'm proud to say so, and I'll always say so.
An openly racist diatribe. Not quite the image the party is hoping to project, but Jean-Baptiste prefers not to alienate his supporters.
I've always said, each to his own. The hens belong in the hen house, and the cows belong in the cowshed. So why can't we say, France is for the French? There's nothing racist about that. The French should take priority.
In its drive to secure votes, the National Front, or FN, cannot always afford to worry about being politically correct. The campaign team has traveled these roads for years and noticed one major change. People are no longer embarrassed to show their support.
Hello, sir. Jean-Baptiste Gravier. I'm a candidate for the National Front in Bar-le-Duc.
Well, believe me, you're going to get some votes. I hope you get a lot of votes and change things.
So you support the National Front and Marine Le Pen?
The left and right haven't done anything. They haven't improved anything. They just made things worse.
Bonne fin de journée.
Bonne chance.
Merci.
The FN is increasingly seen as a credible alternative to the usual back and forth between the socialist and conservative parties.
I used to be a member of the UMP party.
He just signed up with the National Front.
Yeah, I joined a month ago, and I don't make a secret of it, because we've tried everything in politics in this country, nothing's worked. So why not? Why not try Marine Le Pen?
With residents moving out and local businesses going under, life is seeping away from the countryside, and people here feel abandoned by the government.
There used to be barbershops nearby, grocery stores, all the little things that made up a community.
And now?
Now there's nothing. The village shops are disappearing, the barbers are closing, we're losing everything, and we're forced to travel further to get services.
Feelings of neglect that fuel the National Front's campaign. In the run-up to this year's elections, party leader Marine Le Pen has made the countryside a priority. Last year, she did her own Tour de France, visiting its most isolated villages, places she says have been forgotten by the authorities.
Our villages have been forgotten, our rural districts, our communities. And you know, despite the changes forced on them, people don't see things improving. On the contrary, they see more hardship than advantages.
We decided to visit these forgotten villages and meet the voters that Marine Le Pen is courting. Some have been voting for the National Front for years, others are about to do so for the very first time. Our first stop, the local bistro. Michel Bernard, a businessman, is quick to explain why the National Front would be a welcome change.
People being paid to stay at home, that's what I can't stand. I've always run a business. I've always had employees, since the age of 20. And we just can't afford to have people who are staying at home doing nothing, earning social benefits. That's just not possible.
Let me tell you, France has created nothing but laziness. You see, I go to work every day, and I see a lot of people who tell me there's no point working. We make just as much as you do. We don't get out of bed before midday, and we're even better off thanks to all the government benefits.
We need the National Front now. You see the state the country's in. We need them in power. We can't take any more of this.
The conversation quickly turns from economics to immigration, and this despite the presence of their Algerian friend, Nordine.
What I want is more respect for the French citizen, the French worker. So why not try the National Front? Let me tell you, we have no choice. The foreigners who come to France and work here, they have to respect our laws.
Nordine, the immigrant, grows slightly uneasy.
I agree with him. Nevertheless, I'm not comfortable with the National Front because I'm Algerian. The argument's aimed at us. We'll be the first to be targeted.
His friend Michel, however, insists that the National Front is no longer a racist party. The Meuse district has been hard hit by the decline of the steel industry. And wherever companies struggle, the National Front thrives. Sodetal has been building cables for almost half a century, but business is slow now, and the new owners may decide to shut down the factory.
What's at stake here is the future of the whole area, the southern part of the district. If we lose a factory like Sodetal with 323 employees, there aren't many employers around here hiring 323 people. If the factory closes, it's a catastrophe.
A familiar story around here, one that Jackie Paul has seen unfold many times. He's the mayor of this small town of 1,500 residents. He knows all too well what the closure of the factory would mean.
One of our concerns, if Sodetal disappears, we might lose several classrooms. If there's no school in a village, the village is dead. There's nothing. You don't hear the children laughing, shouting. It's tough when there's no school.
Empty classrooms and abandoned homes. Over the last 15 years, 1/5 of the population has fled Tronville-en-Barrois and its economic misery. Further decline seems inevitable.
There's nothing we can do about it. I feel helpless. It's not a good feeling for a mayor to say you're helpless and you don't know what to do. It's not easy.
Sodetal's workers gather in the communal hall for a briefing on the company's future. Worst case scenario, the factory might be entirely shut down. But there is some hope that parts of the production could be maintained. The verdict is expected soon.
I think the layoffs, if they are confirmed, will be announced early to mid-March.
In a few weeks, most of the people in this room could be without a job. 90 villages would be affected. And in this region, keeping one's work is a matter of survival.
I won't find another job, so I'll just have to stay at home.
This kind of thing can destroy your morale. You can become depressed very quickly, so I try to keep a level head.
Livelihoods hang in the balance. The only winner here is the National Front.
The National Front will automatically go up because unemployment creates despair. And when people are desperate, they look for someone to blame. And they tar all the political leaders with the same brush. Obviously, those who benefit are those who've never been in power.
We meet one of the workers at his house. Jérôme Leroy has spent almost half his life working for Sodetal. Yet tomorrow, he will be staying at home.
You see, it's written here, from January the 17th to January the 30th, I won't go to work.
For now, it's only a temporary layoff. But the next letter might make it permanent. A catastrophe for the family. Jérôme's wife works only part-time, and they have 3 children.
The scariest thing is having to cut back on food. Nowadays, feeding a family is expensive. When your kids say, "Dad, can we have steak?" and you have to say, "No, there's no steak. We'll have a can of pâté. We'll divide it up and slice a pickle in 4. That sounds stupid. But it'd be hard to tell the kids, we can't have this anymore. We can't do that.
We don't know what tomorrow will bring.
Jérôme prefers to put on a brave face and hope his luck will turn. But mention politics, and his anger rises to the surface.
We pay taxes, so with our taxes, they should say, we'll clear the snow from your roads, we'll help create jobs, we won't crush new companies with huge taxes. So why not the National Front? Their policies are reassuring. I don't know if they'll follow through on everything, but why not?
Yet another ballot in the box for the National Front. As we head out of the Meuse, we make one last stop and talk to Daniel Klaus, a wealthy landowner. He has spent his entire life in these fields, and lately, his tranquil way of life has come under threat.
Burglaries, what a catastrophe. You wake up in the morning, your tractor's gone, you wonder what's going on. People are sick of it. If need be, we'll use our shotguns.
Last year, police recorded a 5% increase in burglaries across the countryside. Villagers like Daniel are afraid, and for the very first time, at 77 years of age, he too will vote for the far right.
With all the problems, people are starting to turn to the National Front to shake things up. We'll see what happens after that.
Would you vote for the National Front?
A protest vote doesn't do any harm, yes. Afterwards, we'll see.
The National Front presents itself as the answer to the country's frustrations and the standard-bearer of those disappointed by the mainstream parties. And in many rural areas, the strategy is working. One ballot at a time, the protest vote is swelling. The National Front is ready to reap the harvest.
And Cyril VANIER among those who put together that report from eastern France, the Lorraine region. You heard that landowner at the end who's complaining about burglaries saying, why not vote National Front? A protest measure, a gesture of spite, if you will. Did all the people that you spoke to feel that way, or did some say, no, we're voting National Front because we totally subscribe to their policies?
Well, we met both. We spent a week in the region. I think what was the first thing that was surprising to me is that everyone we met intends to vote for the National Front. So granted, it is a region where the party scores does rather well, but I actually did not meet anyone who wanted to vote for another party, be it the Socialist Party or the UMP. Secondly, we met both types of people who feel very strongly that they identify with the values of the National Front, but I think clearly what came out of the week we spent there is that I think the success of the National Front's campaign is that they essentially speak to all the people who are frustrated about their daily lives, be it on an economic level, their economic opportunities, the joblessness, be it the taxes, perceived crime and immigration issues. And all these issues, if you put all the people who vote for the National Front in one room, they won't necessarily all agree on the same thing. They don't all want the same thing for France, but they all agree that things need to change. They all have a high level of frustration with the current state of things, and that's why they all want to vote for the National Front.
Raphael, LECLERC, there's a far left. There's other ways of doing a protest vote. Why is it the National Front?
I think one of the main reasons is because Marine Le Pen and the National Front is maybe at the moment the only party which is talking directly to voters. Sometimes they use ideological shortcuts, but they're talking about everyday life and they give answers. So people are fed up with other parties and they want something different, and something different is the National Front.
I want to get the reaction of the rest of our panel to this. We have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at that report again in terms of, is France becoming more racist? Stay with us. You're watching the France 24 debate.